Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 13th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I will say Monday was a bit hectic, but I did indeed get that lasagna, no leftovers. Day was a good day, but let me get into why it was a little weird, a little hectic. So y'all know I took Friday off and had a little me day, a little 3 day weekend action for myself, and that was nice. That was well. I come into work and I felt like it's that community meme where Troy walks in with the pizzas and like the whole house is on fire and everything is crazy. That's kind of what it felt like the first part of the day. I come into my trash compactor not working, and my lead's like, "Yeah, go see someone in maintenance. They said they need to talk to you as soon as possible." I was like, "Okay." So it's probably about why my dumpster's not working. I then kind of get an idea because like there's just been this growing problem that seemingly maybe has come to a head. So I go outside to actually check it out. What had happened was, and of course it gets confirmed to me later, essentially the people who swap out our dumpster have been accidentally, systematically just ramrodding it into the slot, like the compactor, like and it almost like goes down like I don't know, like you mash it in and then you fasten it to the trash compactor. That's essentially how it works, TDLR, whatever. And they've been mashing it so hard that they've been breaking the compactor. And like literally, if I walked in, there's been this like bent warp in the trash compactor that I kind of just like live with, and it was getting worse. And then it almost like they banged it better somehow, if that's possible. But then it proceeded to actually then I guess they mashed it so hard they like fucked up a cable, and now the thing's inoperable. So anyway, that's the problem at hand. We need a cardboard crusher, otherwise, warehouse is in trouble, right? It's a problem. But we also need to handle the trash. We have two compactors, right? So the master plan that gets hatched is okay. The cardboard dumpster's kaput. We get that fixed at some point. We'll cross that bridge hopefully sooner than later. The trash compactor that has all the stinky trash, we need that swapped out, and that's going to be the cardboard compactor until further notice. So I pretty much got a half day, no work, just hanging out, sitting on my fucking butt playing on my phone for a good half of the day. But then the other half of the day was more hectic, and there was a lot of backup. You guys have heard this song and dance before. So yeah, I mean, that was not fun, but overall it wasn't too bad, and people didn't bother me too much. I feel like everyone was kind of appraised of the situation, whatever. And there wasn't too much hassle. Occasionally there were people coming through ready to throw trash, and now the new cardboard dumpster, and it's like, hey, don't do that. And you gotta explain the situation to them, and they go, oh, okay, fine, blah, 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 blah. So, there was that. But overall, pretty good day at work, all things considered. Also, there were some other things that happened too. Our main conveyor belt was down, so that people were having to put that fire out. Also, there was a truck driver who ran over like this whole median of dirt, like grass, like landscaping or whatever. I guess they thought they could make the turn, and they just couldn't. And they literally just trenched their truck into this like median, and it was pretty funny. So yeah, pretty colorful, active day. And we didn't even get to the podcasting part. You know what I mean? We're not even thinking about news. This is just early morning shit. So yeah, fun times. But anyway, let more about myself. What was the food corner last night? So the food corner last night was the Korean fried chicken, more or less. We're back on that again. I got the kit. But there was a twist, and it's a twist that I guess a little bit maybe surprising for me because I normally don't do this. But they were out of the spicy chicken I like, and they were also out of the backup garlic chicken I like. So I was like, well, what's a boy to do? What do you guys have? And it was the orange chicken. And y'all know I'm not the biggest fruit in my main entree kind of guy. I'm not that guy usually. Same thing with my desserts. I just don't love it. It's not my favorite unless it's like really good, and then maybe I'm like, okay, this is okay. So I was hesitant to get it, but I said, you know what? Let's just get it. I really want to get this chicken, and there's nothing else in the frozen food aisle at this Kroger. Let's just live with it. Let's try it. So I ran it, and overall, I gotta say, their orange chicken was pretty good. I had no complaints. It wasn't overpowering. I figured, hey, I actually might as well just lean into this shit fully. So I had some oranges. So I cut up one and I even put it up on there. It was nice. It felt nice. But overall, yeah, it was orange chicken. It was white rice and egg rolls. And I gotta say, it was yummy. Is it as good as the spicy chicken? Hell no. It's still the third. You know what I mean? It's still spicy, then garlic, then orange. But I will say, making a nice spicy orange chicken is not too bad. So there you go. Got me on the record saying that shit. Anyway, I know I've ranted a lot, and it's really dumb of me to do this when I have so much news stacked up for the day. But why not? Part of what I do is just yapping about myself. Like I said, that's why I call this shit a blog first and then news second. I don't know. Sometimes I switch and flop, whatever. But you know what I mean. You got to sell it. Anywho. Let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll get into this news. Got some hard-hitting shit to get through. So yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into it. From CNN. Putin replaces Russia's defense minister with a civilian as Ukraine war rages and defense spending spirals. Russian President Vladimir Putin has replaced his defense minister and a longtime close ally, Sergei Shoigu, with an economist, a major reshuffle of military leadership more than 2 years after Moscow's grinding war against Ukraine has sent defense spending soaring. Andrei Belousov, a civilian who served as a former first deputy prime minister and specializes in economics, was appointed to the top defense post, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Sunday. Peskov tried to downplay the move, but the reshuffle comes amid speculation about infighting at the highest echelons of power. Just last month, one of Shoigu's longtime proteges at the defense ministry was arrested and charged with corruption. Also, they reference in this article Yevgeny Prigozhin. One of his ultimatums was like, look, dude, it's coming down to it. Like, we need to win this war, and one of the problems of this war is how it's being run. And one of the people who was running it and fucking it up is Sergei Shoigu. Like, it's his fault. And it was almost like he was making, like, throwing them the gauntlet, saying it was like a him or me thing. And, like, that was part of his reason for making that campaign push, like, into Russia, which was crazy for him to do. Long story short, he got his walking papers, to heaven and or hell. He probably went to hell. Let's just be real. If that's there, Prigozhin's probably there. But, Putin, probably sent him there. And essentially, Sergei Shoigu just got walking papers. But even then, we say walking papers, but, it's more of an emotion. He's just going to be moved into a different thing. Let's see. Shoigu will also become the deputy in Russia's Military-Industrial Commission as Putin embarks on a fifth term as president. So, yeah, it's definitely bummer summer for Sergei Shoigu. And, for some people, though, this is, like, good. Like, they're happy about this in Russia because they were saying that, look, this dude is not cutting the mustard. If we had the right people in leadership, then we actually would have had the offensive that we wanted against Ukraine, and it would have happened in, like, 2 days. So essentially, it's kind of like a heads rolling kind of situation, a little bit of power regime shifts in a way. I don't know if Putin's doing it for points or whatever. But that being said, Sergei Shoigu has been in power for like 12 years. So, it is a big shift. A lot of people who have these kind of positions are usually pretty cozy with Putin, generally keep this shit for a very, very long time. longer than even like 12 years. Like I've heard some people, 20 years or so, in their position, just because it's like, hey, Putin loves what I do. He loves the way I walk. He loves the way I talk. He loves the way I dress. He loves the way I give him my money. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, this is a shakeup. I felt like it was definitely worth covering. I feel like I've said Shoigu's name before. I feel like his name's come up. But yeah, just kind of going also across the way though, to Ukraine. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention too, because they do mention kind of a little bit of what's going on. There's been a little bit of position shifts in terms of like shit going on in the Kharkiv region. It gets mentioned in this article a little bit. Russia's definitely trying to make that push before Ukraine gets, the more lethal aid that they're supposed to be getting, from the West or what have you. It seems like they're trying to take a little bit more territory, a little bit. But usually when they're talking about villages and stuff like that, I go, oh, so it's not as big. But at the same time, it's a big deal for if you're living in that village and then next thing you know, Russia comes in, levels the whole fucking shit, puts a flag in their shit, puts a flag in your, your village, your home now. And it's like, you're now Russia, welcome back. And you better toe the line. And yeah, don't worry about who we're going to torture or whatever. It could be a real Bakhmut situation. If you know. So, that is a relevant thing that's kind of happening. But when I hear villages, I go, oh, it's kind of small bean. I don't really want to get too bogged down covering it. I try to cover like, 4 5 things tops. I've been going a little bit too wide lately, but I can't help myself. It's just so much news. So yeah, I wanted to cover this shit. It was relevant. Also wanted to at least talk a little bit of what's going on in terms of the war front. So there's that. But to Ukraine's side, Ukraine's president Volodymyr Zelensky has sacked the head of his personal protection unit after 2 of its top officials were detained over an alleged assassination plot. Serhiy Rudd has led the president's security detail since 2019. So a bit here, this is from the BBC. I had listened to this from the BBC podcast, but this was a bit of a play from Russia even before they did the invasion to kind of have like, hey, like this guy's already bought and sold and he's like hired on. So like when the time comes, he's going to start working with us to kind of make something happen so that maybe we could get him, So it is crazy that there was a whole plan within plan thing there. But I mean, at least for Zelensky's sake, it's good that was thwarted. So there you go. There's that. So yeah, figured I'd give you both sides of a story there a little bit. Let's see here. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about Gaza from the BBC. Gaza war. Palestinians flee as Israeli forces go back into Jabalia. Fierce fighting has been reported in Jabalia in northern Gaza after the Israeli military went back into areas where it said Hamas had regrouped. Residents who fled said they had seen tanks advancing toward Jabalia's refugee camp, which had come under heavy bombardment since Saturday. Palestinian armed groups also said they were battling troops in the camp. Meanwhile, the UN has said 360,000 people have fled Rafah in the south since an offensive began a week ago. The Israeli military has ordered the evacuation of the eastern third of the city, which is swollen with more than 1 million Palestinians taking refuge. So I feel like the Israeli defense, and like you can almost see like the U.S. trying to curl to kind of make this fucking work, where it's like, hey, the invasion of Rafah is supposed to be like almost a red line, an inflection point here. If you do this, we're going to react in a way that's negative, and that's what they've been hinting at. That's what Biden's been threatening. But you can kind of see Israel saying, well, we're not doing a full invasion. Like, that's what you said we couldn't do. We're not doing that. We're doing like a partial invasion, right? So we're only taking like this third, and we've said, hey, we spread out pamphlets. Hey, we're letting people know we're doing the best we can with that, and we're also setting up like humanitarian like islands or safe zones that are supposed to be what people can go to these areas and they'll be safe, which that's just not true. It's just not verifiable that people are safe anywhere in Gaza, and essentially you could die anywhere. And what I really wanted to cover here is the northern part, is the fact that it's like, look, Israel for weeks has been saying now, look, there are 4 battalions or so in Rafah, and if we can just fucking get into Rafah and take them out, that's it. We're good. That'll do enough. That'll be what we need. But here is this situation where you literally have Hamas springing back up in the northern area. So what do you mean you have this control to contain? You do not. Essentially, all you are doing is just getting and looking for excuses to continue this genocide. That's just the way I view it. That's just the way I have to kind of perceive this information. Because I'm sorry, but the IDF is not fucking stupid. They have to know how entrenched they are in the situation. Like, this shit is the exact same kind of thing that we've seen happen with America and the West in Afghanistan. It's the same kind of shit where you see the U.S. and goddamn Vietnam, and circling back to Afghanistan, the same shit with the fucking Soviets going to Afghanistan. Like, this shit happens time and time again. You cannot stop an insurgent force like this. You're not going to be successful, and you know it. And you've known it from the beginning, but it's not about that. It's not really about the defense or anything like that. It is simple revenge. It is simple a long-term plan of just saying, look, we want this to just be sterilized, and we don't want anyone here. Y'all are riffraff to us, and we want to get rid of you. Like, I don't know. I just, when I get to these stories, it always just boils my fucking shit, because they try to reskin it, rephrase it, but that's just what you guys are doing, is you're looking for excuses to kill people. That's all this is. But it's getting labeled as a defense. It's like, remember October 7th, don't fucking forget. Like, what do you mean? Like, so many people have died, and the number just keeps rising. And the thing that's also crazy is, too, like, you have Israeli soldiers who are dying in this shit. Like, you're giving your own men and women to this cause, and for what? You won't stop Hamas this way. You know it. It's so frustrating. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I know I could talk about this shit till I'm blue in the face, and I know that as much details as I try to pull, I know there's things that I'm always going to miss. So yeah, I do try to cover the broad strokes here, and I feel like I did that here, and let's go ahead and keep it moving. But obviously, feel free to get this. There's a little bit more testimonials and shit like that I didn't cover. It definitely sucks too, just because for the people who actually are saying, look, I don't want to die, I'm gonna keep trying to flee, I've fled several times, I guess I'm gonna try one more goddamn time. You are going to a place that is even worse than the situation you just left in Rafah somehow, where, like, you don't have food, you don't have water, there's sewage in the fucking streets, like, it's just so fucking frustrating, man. So yeah, let's hit another bump. Once again from the BBC, from Tunisia, lawyer arrested during live news broadcast. A live television broadcast captured dramatic scenes when plainclothes security officers entered the headquarters of Tunisia's Bar Association to detain a lawyer on Saturday. Sonia Damani, we're gonna go with Damani, was wanted in connection with comments she made earlier in the week about the situation in Tunisia. As her arrest took place, people can be heard shouting, "Lawyers are free from the police, they are free." There has been growing criticism of restrictions of free speech imposed under the presidency of Kais Saied. On Friday, Ms. Damani had refused to attend a court hearing to explain why she questioned the sub-Saharan migrants that sub-Saharan migrants would want to settle in Tunisia, her lawyer said. Then, on Saturday, during a live France 24 broadcast, reporter Marilyn Dumas can be seen at the Bar Association headquarters, where Ms. Damani was thought to be. Dumas then stops mid-sentence as masked men come into shot and force their way into an office. A short while later, people can be heard screaming and shouting as masked men leave. Someone then approaches the camera to try and shut it down, and Dumas is heard saying, "We are in a public place. You do not have a right to do that." France 24 has condemned what it has called a brutal intervention by security forces that prevented journalists from practicing their profession as they were covering a lawyer's protest for justice in support of freedom of expression. Also on Sunday, 2 journalists were arrested over critical comments they had made, a lawyer told the AFP news agency. So yeah, I mean, whenever I kind of see shit like this, once again, it's very fucking upsetting. As someone who, I'm a journalism enjoyer. It's crazy that like a country, can say, "Hey, we're a democracy. We're free and fair," and yet whenever there's a situation where people want to talk and expose some shit or talk about some shit going on, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're actually like inciting a riot, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. And there's some politicized way of weaponizing what they're doing, what journalism is, which is like, hey, we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to tell the truth, spread that shit. And it's like, oh, we're going to lock you up for that, actually. That's actually what we're trying to subvert that to make it something illegal. And, that's always just a crazy thing to hear a country try to cartwheel to try to make it so it's like, no, we're democracy, but also you can't do that. You can't actually like, talk that good shit. No way. We'll fucking silence you. So yeah, this always makes me upset. And the thing that makes me, that it always disturbs me and I find so confusing is in almost every single case that this happens, if the country, the government didn't make this call of trying to suppress this shit so hard, more times than not, the story would go out. And I hate to say this, it's sad to say, people would hear it and they go, oh, okay. And they go back to their goddamn jalapeno poppers. They go back to their goddamn latte, whatever. They won't care. Like, nothing will really change. But because of the fact that they want to silence this shit so hard and keep us what they feel and think is going to look like a squeaky clean record, then you wind up making more commotion about this shit and making more of a problem for yourself. That's just generally how I've seen it happen historically. I don't know. It just seems silly to me to even try it. It's better to just let that shit leak out a little bit and be like, hey, no, actually we have a reason for that. You know what I mean? That's just the American model, baby. And it works more times than it doesn't, unfortunately. Anyway. What else did I really want to pull here? Mr. Saeed has justified his actions by saying he needed new powers to break a cycle of political paralysis and economic decay. It's once again that's bullshit. It's just bullshit on bullshit. No one believes you, dog. You just want to be a tyrant. It's just better to say that at this point. You know what I mean? Just cut the president shit. Just call yourself, I don't know, Lord Supreme or whatever. God damn. Make it easy for yourself. That's what I'm saying. Anywho. Some 60 journalists, lawyers, and opposition members have been held under the decree. AFP quotes the National Union of Tunisian Journalists as saying. So, crazy shit happening in Tunisia. I really hope that changes and, let motherfuckers just say what's going on. Like, at the very least, like, if you're not going to do anything to even stop it or you're going to be perpetrators of evil shit, at least let motherfuckers just tell the story. God damn. Anyway, speaking of crazy stories, we got a heck of a doozy to talk about. We're gonna get into our true crime right the fuck now. This is spread across two articles. I felt like would be kind of the best way to try to crack at it from my dumbass. So yeah, let's let it rip. The Post and the Courier, Myrtle Beach is one, and then the other one is WBTW13 News. Let's start with the Post and the Courier. Myrtle Beach pastor's attorney disputes allegations that he groomed, abused Mika Miller. Also want to add a little bit, chalking up, this is a bit of old news. I believe Mika Miller's body was found on the 27th of April. But I just got wind of the story via, once again, last podcast on the left. Bit of side stories news, and I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely it's South Carolina crime. It's a big doozy of a fucking mystery going on here, a caper, if you will. So yeah, I had to get my 2 cents here. John Paul Miller's attorney is disputing allegations about the Myrtle Beach pastor groomed Mika Miller as a child and later abused her during their marriage. After Mika Miller's body was found in North Carolina State Park on April 27th, unfounded rumors and false accusations appeared on social media suggesting the pastor of Solid Rock at Market Common had been involved in her death. John Paul Miller's attorney, Russell Long, said in a May 9th news release. Although authorities ruled her death a suicide, Long said his client continues to face public criticism. Our client refutes any report that suggests he ever abused his wife. Recent reports claim that Pastor Miller groomed his wife from the age of 10 years old. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Also adding from the other article that Miller, since this shit has hit the fan, is no longer a pastor at Solid Rock. And I think it was like May 5th, he was asked to leave or something shit like that, or left, whatever. Some of the allegations long referenced are contained in police and court records. For example, on February 21st, Mika Miller told Myrtle Beach police that her husband had arranged for her to be involuntarily hospitalized and then stole her car, according to her police report. Speaking to the officer, Mika Miller said her husband had known her since she was 10 years old and had groomed her while she worked at Solid Rock until they were married in 2017. At the time the report was filed, she was 29 and he was 44. Also, I want to make sure this is not to be confused with Solid Rock Church in Cincinnati, which has its own cadre of mystery, intrigue, and whatever, scandal, if you will. Allegedly, I should add that. But that's a whole other thing. I just want to make sure, because local yokels might be like, wait, Solid Rock Church? Touchdown Jesus? Different thing. Apparently, this is a cool name. People just love using that. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, Mika Miller also filed reports with Horry County Police in March saying razor blades had been placed in her tires and a tracking device had been secretly installed on her vehicle. John Paul Miller was never arrested in connection with those reports, but in probate court filings, Mika Miller's family has accused him of abusing her. Hold on to that, because I think in the other article we're going to try to add a little bit more to that. I know my sister to have expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church congregation. Mika Miller's sister, Sierra Francis, wrote in an affidavit filed in probate court on May 3rd. Mika told me that there were people following her, keeping track of where she went. She thought that Mr. Miller hired people to follow her. Once again, make a note of that, because that is verified in the other article. Francis wrote that her sister was worried something would happen to her. My sister also expressed to me that she was fearful that she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her, she wrote in the affidavit. It is my belief, based on conversations with my sister, that she told multiple people, including other family members. Mika stated on multiple occasions, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me, it was JP. So, I think the defense by JP Miller, we're just going to call him JP here, is that, look, my wife, she was unwell. She was not okay. I did the best I could for her. I was trying to look after her in the best way I could, but it turned out things were just too much, and it was too extreme for her, and she did what she did. Let's see. Yeah, Mika suffered from mental illness, and some reports made by her in the recent past are nonsensical, the release said. This is unfortunate reality underscores the importance of destigmatizing mental health and ensuring those affected receive appropriate support and treatment. And, like, it's kind of crazy because, like, look, I get it. On paper, you have footage of her going to buy this gun. You have audio, like, phone recordings of her, like, saying, like, hey, like, I'm going to this location. I'm going to do it. So, like, that's pretty damning evidence to say, look, this is a confirmed suicide. So, in some ways, I can understand why the police is saying, hey, that this just is what this is. But, like, when you look at all of the mounting evidence, and this is where I think I'm going to switch gears and go to the next article here and try to pull what I can. Let's see, more than a month before authorities said Miller died on April 27th by suicide in Robinson County, police reports obtained by News 13 show 4 different instances in which GPS tracking devices were reported to have been found on vehicles linked to her. AKA, this man was putting GPS trackers on the car. And essentially, there was a time where she was, like, trying to get rid of a car, I guess. And he was saying, oh, she had a spending addiction and she was trying to sell the car for that reason. And it's like, maybe she was just trying to get rid of this car because it's like, look, this car is tracking everywhere she goes. Her husband, John Paul Miller, former pastor at Solid Rock Church in Market Comment, admitted in text messages with News Nation's Rick McHugh to putting the GPS trackers on her vehicle. He also apologized for the damage he caused her vehicles. He was released from his ministerial duties on May 5th. Sorry. I even hired PI to put trackers on her car to know she was going to a gun store. John Paul told News Nation. I've never once in my entire life ever hurt her in any way. John Paul also admitted in an email exclusively obtained by News Nation to posting a topless photo of Mika online. So how are you going to be like, I've never tried to hurt her, but like I did this. But here's my reasoning. I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet, the email reads. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I imagine maybe it was down, but they're just quoting him directly. I was hurt that you are telling everyone horrible intimate details of my past sin, and I wanted to try and hurt you. That's a quote. That's a fucking quote. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that. It's just there are a lot of instances about this kind of shit, and it seems that there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, no, things did not seem okay in the home. Things did not seem all right, and now she's gone. Now she's dead. So yeah, I feel like this is pretty suspicious. I've been kind of rifling around a little bit, haven't really dug too deep. Just looking at TikTok very briefly, maybe the FBI might get involved. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I really fucking hope so, though. I hope that this is not the end of it, because it's not enough for this guy to be like kicked out of his job. Like, yeah, you should no longer be a pastor anymore, but clearly you're on some freaky fucking shit, dog. Like, and I think that this is just a tip of the iceberg. With just like his wife, there might be more to the story. But yeah, I mean, this is a whole ass fucking can of worms, and I kind of just wanted to say, hey, let's talk about it. Yeah, once again, also, I know that they said that she died in North Carolina Park, but this is a South Carolina story. Just wanted to make sure for the record. Something that they did go into is, I think it was like a family friend of some sort. Let's see. No, let me just read this here. Mika also accused John Paul in a police report filed February 21st of grooming her for years before their marriage, a claim vehemently denied by John Paul's attorney, Russell Long, in an email to media outlets that threatened legal action over coverage of Mika's death. Long also said Mika had a history of mental health problems and said some reports made by her in the recent past are nonsensical. Francis and Ward added clarity about the February 21st report that claimed Mika was groomed since she was 10 years old. If I had to assume, I would guess she probably meant the year 2010 and not 10 years old, Francis told News Nation. She has consistently said since 14, I have never heard her ever say 10 years old. That's not even possible. We weren't even in South Carolina. So, she might have gotten like some details wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's lying or making things up or it didn't happen. You know what I mean? But I also think too, I might be wrong about this, but I think that there might also be potentially other people that might have also been involved in this, like other girls that JP abused, but that might be me taking it away and rolling with it. Also, I want to slap on an allegedly here. Allegedly, you got to say that as a podcaster when you're talking about this true crime shit so you don't get sued, right? That's how you try to do that, right? How you beat the allegations. So yeah, I mean, that's me giving my 2 cents on it. Let's call that covered. I definitely want to keep you posted though if I find out any more about this sick fucker. But yeah, man, it's definitely sad. It's definitely fucking unfortunate too, because like I think this dude also has an alibi because he wasn't in town. But it's like, if you were somehow coaxing your wife into doing this kind of shit or something like that, like, that's insane. That's so dark. That's so fucking depraved. I don't know. But I mean, until then, I guess we gotta have to say, hey, we gotta take it at whatever the police are telling us or whatever. Sadly, unfortunately, I don't, that this is just a suicide, but definitely there's some red flags. There's some holes in some potential stories. There's some dark history here. So, okay, let's move on. We have one more thing to cover. I'm gonna keep this nice and short because I feel like I've gone longer than I wanted to. But you know what that means. Let's take our last break. Let's decompress. And we have one more, technically another, crime story, New York style. And shit, it's the GOAT. We gotta talk about it. It's damn. I shouldn't say the GOAT, a GOAT in the acting world, but whatever. Ooh, ooh. Okay, I'm taking a hit here. Okay, all right. From CNN, Steve Buscemi punched in the face while walking in NYC. Hollywood actor Steve Buscemi has been treated for injuries after being punched in the face while walking in New York City. The New York City Police Department told CNN it is investigating the assault, which took place on Wednesday and is the latest in a string of random attacks in the city. They say it was a man, dark complexion, blue shirt. Looks like he's got on some black joggers, white Nikes on, black hat, backpack. Had the audacity. Punch one of the greatest. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it, man. That's a Reservoir Dog you're hitting up, man. That's Mr. fucking Pink, bro. What the fuck? That's crazy. I don't know why they did this. I'm sure, motherfuckers at Fox News are like, crime, 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 crime. So much crime. Liberal areas, crime. I'm sure there's rock hard about it. But obviously, sending my flowers. Hey, one, I'm glad he's alive. Glad he's okay. He just got a swollen face, a black eye type of thing, So glad he's all right overall. But definitely that's a fucking fucked up shit to do. I actually kind of hope they get this fucking guy. I'm usually not rooting for police to get their guy, but same time, well, why you do this, man? What is the reasoning? So yeah, just wanted to get that in there. But that's it. That's all we have. Thank you so much. Oh my God, this is so long. I'm so sorry. But thank you so much if you've made it this far. If you would like to help out financially, become a newsie today. Isaiah News, patreon.com, so Isaiah News. I got it. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast and the socials. Contact me there. Subscribe. Subscriptions are good. We lost a YouTube subscriber. That's fucked up. That's the exact opposite of what I want. Please subscribe. Don't unsubscribe. What the fuck? Hit the like. You know what to do. This has gone on long enough. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.